Unexplored wilderness is a land with its own will, that is a place endowed with willpower and spirit, a place where a human being does not hamper nature power. The first evidences of settling in the current Kherson region territory go 2,000 years back. Hundreds of barrows remained in Kherson steppes. Altaria tell us about Scythians, Sarmatians, Pechenegs and Polovtsians. Those lands are very place where a spur of the Great Silk Way ran along, and they are also known as the way from Varangian side to Greek side. There, at the steppe edge, Kiev princes met and negotiated with Byzantine emperor's messengers. Later on, in early 20th century, the Russian Revolution and Civil War events ran with almost the same intensity there. Then the great giants, symbolizing the epoch of industrialization and electrification, were erected in full swing in those lands. It is washed by two warm seas, the Black Sea and the Azov Sea. The land is divided into halves by lower Dnipro River with its picturesque downstream valleys, which are the biggest in Europe. Striking is the fact that out of 4 biosphere reserves of Ukraine, just 2 ones are located within Kherson region. They are Chernomorsky Reserve and the world-known Askania-Nova Biosphere Reserve. Today, Biosphere Reserve Askania-Nova, named after Volkswagen, is a triune scientific and research complex consisting of reserve steppe, which is declared by UNESCO as standard of steppe ecosystems of the Earth, the largest in Ukraine open zoo, and unique dendrology park. As scientists say, this is the only wildlife conservation territory in Ukraine based on a national core consisting of ecosystems of Prisivarsko-Priazovska low-lying lands and Prichernomorsko-Priazovska steppe zone province. The Biosphere Reserve helps to preserve the largest in Europe plot of steppe covered with sheep's fescue and feather grass, which is regarded as a relic area of flora and fauna. Well known here, the Great Chapelsky Pod is a place of shelter for wild ungulators that are kept there almost free, and at the same time it is a water and marshland of international value. That is not a full list of peculiarities of the reserve. Since 1898, Askania Steppe has become a reserve, and now it is the oldest reserve in the world. On November 26, 1993, the President of Ukraine confirmed by the edict status of Biosphere Reserve Askania-Nova with a total area 33,307 hectares, out of which 11,054 hectares is reserved. On April 2, 1994, the Biosphere Reserve is named after Volkswagen. In 2002, the animal kingdom of Askania-Nova Zoo is declared national property of Ukraine by the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. Since 1985, the reserve is included into international network of biosphere reservation, and in 2003, documents are prepared for UNESCO to enroll the reserve steppe, dendrology park and zoo to the World Cultural Heritage.
В данный момент мы находимся на территории участка Большой Чапельский под. Это крупнейшая степная депрессия, которая достигла.
Now we are in the Great Chapelsky Pod, that is a plot of unplowed virgin steppe. Here, on the area of 23 square kilometers, herds of wild animals pasture as in a wild steppe. No need going to North America to see herds of wild bisons. We can watch them here, or going to Turkmenistan to see herds of wild kulans, or Serengeti Plain to South Africa to see herds of eland, or herds of Kafir buffaloes, or going to India to see a herd of nilgo, or to go to Europe to see European fallow deer. Now, the Biosphere Reserve is a major ecological and educational center of the south of Ukraine, visited by tens of thousands of tourists. Many tourists, experts and curious people are attracted by Askania-Nova Dendrology Park of National Value. This is a unique memorial of landscape art of the late 19th century, founded in 1874. This is the biggest landscape irrigated park of the south of Ukraine, having the territory 183 hectares, and its genophund numbers 764 species and 264 cultivated forms and sorts of wood plants, and 600 species and sorts of grasses and flowers. By the way, nearly 1/10 part of the genophund made rare and endangered plants, 80 trees and 21 grasses. Over 115 years of its existence, the Dendro Park takes more significance as a center of conservation of rare and uncommon wood plants in the extreme south of steppe zone of Ukraine. When compared with the most valuable similar parks, this one holds a particular place because it is created in arid water-free steppe, which is really unsuitable for growing of wood plants. Having passed many kilometers of steppe roads, in the heat you get at last in the coolness of shadow paths where murmur of a brook and singing birds. Here, in severe environment of the south of Ukraine, such pleasure is very important for people as it softens impact of nature, such as dust storms, hot wind, high insolation. In terms of size of collection, Dendro Park Askania-Nova is one of the biggest in Ukraine. One can reveal this park any season of the year. In spring, primroses get into blooming everywhere and attract attention by a variety of colors. In autumn, trees differ in colors of their leaves. In winter, you can enjoy with conifers. We have over 160 species and forms of them. Collection of conifers, which is being replenished in past years, is especially interesting. Many various colors and forms, high, low, trailing ones, are taken together, so the park is of great interest any season. Collection of Askania-Nova Zoo, which dates back from 1874, counts 111 species of animals and 6,471 animals in total number. Specific feature of the reserve is a semi-free keeping of sizable groups of animals in big open-air cages up to 1,150 hectares, with natural growth and free keeping of birds in made ponds. One of the peculiarities of the zoo is the fact that many species of animals are kept here in sizable groups, practically in small populations. Representatives of certain species of ungulators of the zoo exceed 5,100 animals, and birds are counted in several hundreds. As of January 2003, the zoo contained 1,272 animals of 48 species registered in the Red List of Bonn, Bern, and Washington conventions. For scientific and ecological tourism, the following seasonal events in the life of birds are of special interest. From March till second half of May, it is a period of neighboring relations among nesting birds. There are different cases of friendliness, aggression, and mutual aid during nest protecting period. One should be prepared to observe the birds only from easy-to-reach spots at the short side, not to disturb the birds, and to have high-powered equipment ready. From March or April, depending on weather conditions, to late May or early June, it is interesting to watch breeding dances of carinated birds in open-air cages, parks, and water areas. Autumn till December and spring flights of birds over the reserve biosphere, as well as their rest at the zoo water areas, grey-legged goose, white-fronted goose, leather white-fronted goose, red-breasted goose, etc., and in the great Chapelsky pod, common crane, steppe crane, stork, grey-legged goose, white-fronted goose, leather white-fronted goose, red-breasted goose, etc. are of great interest. One can watch leather white-fronted goose and red-breasted goose with the help of high-powered equipment and night viewing devices. It goes without saying that Askania-Nova estate became world-famed owing to its large reserve of European value. Pfalz-Fein's ancestors started their family business in the semi-deserted steppe, and their descendant Friedrich, who had a wonderful gift combining an inquisitive mind with managing talent, brought it to the top of perfection. More than 100 years ago, in 1898, he set himself as an object to make an oasis in the steppe. Aiming this, he separated 2,404 acres of land and devised to keep it as a park forever. He spent great amount of money, especially for purchase of rare plants and animals from all over the world, and arrangement of expeditions, the most known of which is an expedition for Przewalski horses in Dzungarskaya Gobi that lays 7,000 kilometers away from Askania-Nova. First in the world, he got breed of Przewalski horse. First in Russia and second in Europe, he got breed of African ostrich as well as Nanda and Emma. Experience of acclimatization of animals and plants acquired by Friedrich Pfalz-Fein made an important contribution into the world history of science. Many famous scientists from all over the world and crown people came to Askania-Nova, a place distant from all European scientific centers, especially to meet Friedrich in his national park and to see directly things which they heard about. In 1914, after Nikolai II, the Russian Tsar, visited Askania-Nova, the Pfalz-Feins were ennobled. We should remember that Pfalz-Fein's estate is the first place where records set up in labor achievements and life expectancy of employees, forced labor have never been used there, were thoroughly recorded, and portraits of the best employees were exhibited among the rich collection of other paintings in the estate. Edward Pfalz-Fein, a living nephew of legendary Friedrich Pfalz-Fein, considers his uncle to be the first landowner in Ukraine. Unfortunately, today tourists cannot walk around rooms of the reserve's museum as its building was destroyed in 70s years of the past century and is being under reconstruction now. But many valuable historical documents are kept with care in library of Askania-Nova. Just a list of names of publication made by employees of the reserve in mass media, brochures and books became a volume of considerable edition consisting of 20 printed sheets and almost 5,000 typewritten pages, including over 2,000 scientific articles, 26 books and monographs, and also booklets, guidebooks, photo albums, posters, stamps, envelopes, and even commemorative coins. The reserve issued 4 volumes of scientific journal News of Biosphere Reserve Askania-Nova. Many of the most valuable editions are presented by heirs of Falz-Fein family.
Мы можем показать, например, вот такие книги, как
We can show such books as, for example, In the Service of Three Emperors, written by General Yapanchin, a grandfather of Edward Falz-Fein in the line of his mother. All books presented to our library by Edward Falz-Fein are always accompanied with his signature and good words to the reserve and people of village Askania-Nova. Edward presented us wonderful books about history of Askania-Nova in French and German, and owing to him we are able to present them to our foreign guests as well as sell.
мы могли их и реализовывать.
Baron Edward Falz-Fein is pleased to call himself a king of souvenirs and adds that he does not have days off the whole his life. The Baron has done a great job for Askania-Nova within over 20 years since it became possible for him, and he does not apprehend our interpretation of poverty. According to Western understanding, a human being and a country as a whole will not perceive poverty if he is able and eager to work and shows his persistence, resolute features, quick wits and resource. Here is just right interpretation of those who see future trends in tourist development of Askania-Nova and works over them. At present, Biosphere Reserve Askania-Nova is concentrated on several kinds of business. Ecological tourism, the key one, provides 4 tour routes for visitors: Dendro Park tour, big and small ecological paths, and zoo tour, which is called Pearl in a Steppe. Ecological path tour, Eco of Nature, that means virgin steppe covered with sheep's fescue and feather. Horse carriage tour over Biosphere Reserve's steppe to herds of wild animals, Big Chapelsky Pod. Bus tour over Reserve's steppe to herds of wild animals. Scientific tourism is under development and its perspectives are viewed.
Увиденное дает основание
What we are seeing here made a reason to inform Ministry of Foreign Affairs and tourist organizations interested in this tourism business that this steppe is worth coming and seeing. This primitive steppe actually does not remain anywhere in Europe. One can think about a season. Eyewitnesses and employees of the park say that it has its benefits any season of the year. Development of green tourism is a new perspective direction in work of the reserve. But for its successful beginning and development, many critical issues shall be solved. Possibilities of the Biosphere Reserve Askania-Nova allow development of both rural tourism, rest in a village house, and ecotourism, that means active learning and perception of unexplored wildness, traditions and culture. Ecotourism programs may include riding routes and horse carriage routes to the Askania-Nova steppe and food tours on ecological paths. One for sure will be interested in refreshment consisting of ecologically clean products, among which eland milk is especially popular. Its fatness reaches 9% and its healing properties treat many serious diseases such as stomach ulcer, for example. Pan-Ukrainian Union of Assistance to Development of Village Green Tourism in Ukraine and Kherson Regional Department of this union in particular, under support of the International Financial Corporation as well as International Fund of Euroasia, aimed on implementation of a wide-scheduled program of development of green village tourism in Ukraine, acted as initiators of fast development of this prospective kind of tourism in Askania-Nova. But there is no doubt that a key role in this business is held by a charity fund, Regenerated Step, a newly created public organization. Owing to their initiative and thanks to their efforts supported by management and experts of the reserve, in the beginning of 2003 in Askania-Nova there were held a seminar training of owners of houses willing to provide services in the line of green tourism, named green tourism as an alternative kind of business in a village. Though it is just beginning and we are aware that people active in this line will face a lot of difficulties on the way of development of this new kind of tourism, participants of the training seminar are full of enthusiasm and quite Actually, it is not quite easy to provide a wide range of tourist services such as reservation, accommodation, provision of food, recreation, tours, transportation, information, arrangement of cultural and sport programs. Seasonal excursion and tourist business carried out from April till November is a usual case here, but extension of tourist services and provision them all over the year round much depend today not on the government structures, but on the most active and prepared residents of this area, which get used and adjust themselves to it on the move. I am prepared to communicate with people because communication is of special need in regions. In cities, people became getting satiated with simple communication. They need something different. Now we are polishing our training and change subjects. In regions, people are ready for usual communication. When there will be a wish when a pioneer appears, a person who will earn money, pay taxes, welcome guests, and will be pleased with this, then no need asking people. We need just making the first signs. After that, neighbors will join, and the business will go on smoothly.
На сегодняшний день, если брать юридическую сторону, то вот тут для людей складывается очень.
Today, green tourism is quite beneficial for people from legal point of view.
Если я уже говорю, например, я вот этот потенциальный владелец сельской сады.
But if I, being an owner of house, not just lease a house, but provide a set of tourist services with riding and so on, I must get license and be registered as a subject of business.
Для этого должен зарегистрироваться субъектом предпринимательской деятельности.
Now, owners of houses who decided to provide their services should realize their scope and possibilities of their houses and facilities to meet requirements of new kind of business. Not only comfort houses and availability of guest rooms furnished with up to 8 beds with one owner and their conformity to sanitary and technical regulations should be of great significance, but they also must obtain all the required documents and construct rest facilities in their yards. All these actions are not very easy and take time, and they are especially difficult for beginners. In general, I like communication with nature and people who come here. We get acquainted very easily and it touches. Besides, there is a round-the-year hotel in Askania-Nova. It provides double rooms, 3 and 4 bedrooms for 82 persons. Additional services include the following: refrigerator, TV, extra sofa, shower. Reservation can be made over the phone. Groups of children and students can be accommodated at a moderate fee in a school and kindergarten, in specially furnished rooms and classes. Visitors can enjoy with a meal in a number of cafes, the most popular of which are as follows: Askania Cafe, 80 seats, Kana, 30 seats, Uyut, 50 seats. All of them provide both full meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and ordered meals. As a keepsake of visit of the Biosphere Reserve, tourists can buy souvenirs. For those who like gardening, employees of Askania-Nova can suggest seeds and sapling of various decorative plants, and animal fanciers may leave this place with new friends, such as parrots, peacocks, decorative hens. It should be emphasized for those who are going to test themselves all the advantages of the Biosphere Reserve Askania-Nova, that rumors about transportation problems and out-of-the-way roads without any signs to the reserve and irregular supply of fuel are overestimated grossly. Askania-Nova is now duly represented in all automobile road maps and guidelines. Fortunately, fuel problems remained in the past. There are two powerful fuel stations in Askania-Nova, and the nearest fuel stations are at a distance of 15 and 22 kilometers of the highway to the Biosphere Reserve. But you will feel more comfortable and convenient using services of tourist companies. They make agreement directly with ecological information sector of the reserve and arrange transportation services and tours, reserve hotels and food for groups and individual tourists.
Здесь все настолько красиво, что отдыхаешь по-настоящему.
Everything is so beautiful here that you will have a rest for sure. That is why many people come here again. They want to see this nice place and try to feel its changes. Usually just better changes are noticeable. Here is just right place where you can breathe steppe air filled with herbs. You can watch wild animals living free in conditions very close to natural ones.
Потому что для них созданы условия очень близкие к природным. И только здесь, в Аскании-Нова, можно увидеть, как...
Only here, in Askania-Nova, you can watch young bisons obeying strong ones leave herds. I think family rest will have a future.
Потому что будущее, я считаю, за семейным. И вот хозяева усадеб могли бы предложить своим...
Owners of houses are ready to invite their guests to follow Chumatsky path, treat them with true Chumatsky porridge with smoke, and during a night walk teach them to be guided by milkway and stone Polovtsians figures as our ancestors did.
По каменным половецким изваяниям.
Never cut anything, never erect anything, never confirm and clarify anything in the same places, trying to reach scientific truth. Do not disassemble and do not change anything. Do not hunt, do not fish, do not give trouble. Shinto commandments of protection of saint groves.